Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Ōkami walkthrough. We are now in Wep'keer. And... oh god, this place is even more miserable than Kamui! Jesus Christ on a bike. But whilst we are here, hopefully we'll be able to find out what the hell's going on. I mean, we heard obviously some of it from Ōkami, but hopefully we'll be able to find out why Ōkami's doing what the hell he's doing, because doesn't all seem quite so good where he is either. And he probably wasn't telling us the whole truth either. But, let's have a look at our divine attributes. Let's see, can we do this? Our health is as full as it's going to be. Our wallet is full. And, so close! So very close. I thought we were there. We weren't quite, but we will be soon. Don't worry, I believe we only have that last 350 praise to collect, and then we will have gotten everything fully upgraded. I keep teasing you, and in turn keep teasing myself that it's going to happen. And it never does. It's depressing. I have to say, this place looks a lot nicer in the sun. Because, you know, we can actually see, rather than just being like, oh, this place is incredibly miserable. But whilst we have a walkabout, Wep'keer, doesn't actually have, I think, a locational basis in Ainu culture, but its name in Japanese, or Ainu as it really should be, because that's where its name comes from, because it comes from the Ainu language, is Wep'keer, or Wep'keer, or Wep'keer. Depends how... I don't know, but we'll go with it. And basically, Wep'keer means storytelling in Ainu. So, I've got a nice little website here which tells us about the Ainu language, called omniglot.com. Basically, Ainu is spoken on the northern Japanese island of Hokkaido by maybe 15 families. It was once spoken in the Kurile Islands, the northern part of Honshu, and the southern half of Sakhalin. The last Ainu speaker on Sakhalin died in 1994. Ainu is a language isolate, unrelated to any other language, though obviously it does have a lot of links with Japanese, even if it is quite isolated. The vast majority of the 150,000 people who claim to be ethnically Ainu speak only Japanese. The actual number of people of Ainu descent is thought to be higher, however many are unaware of their ethnicity or deny it through fear of discrimination. Efforts are currently being made to revive and revitalise Ainu, particularly by Shigeru Kayano, a native speaker of the Tsushima dialect of Ainu, the only surviving dialect. He set up a school to teach the language and has started collecting traditional Ainu stories. Ainu is officially written with a version of the Japanese katakana syllabary. A Latin-based alphabet is also used. The Ainu also have a rich oral tradition, including Yukar, which is sagas of heroes, Kamui Yukar, stories of the gods, which I believe I have already mentioned, and the Wep'keer, old stories. So that is where the name for Wep'keer comes from. It's entirely to do with storytelling, and I think that fits in really nicely with the end area of Ōkami. Because as we've been playing through the game, obviously there is this whole thing of storytelling which has just been just on the surface, so we get little bits of narration every now and again. Because we are being told a story, and because it's a folktale, it fits into the idea of the oral tradition, but also with the Japanese scrolls. So it's entirely to do with history and how we tell, well, not how we tell stories, but the old stories we tell and all of that. So for the final area of the game to be called storytelling, essentially, fits really nicely, I think. Also, come on, 196 praise. Only 104 praise to go. Not 104 praise, 154 praise, because it's 350. Until we can complete everything else. Come on. And, hello, Samical. And come on, that's not very nice, Samical. Why don't you deal with us? We're not mean. We just want to help. So, yes, we just decided to headbutt him just to get our own back. But now all we can do is kind of leave, because it's not like anybody wants to talk to us, so that's the only way we can head. But, oh! Somebody actually wants to talk to us. Hopefully they'll be full of information, because I know bloody Samical wasn't, was he? So, this is Kai, and she is really nice and lovely. She actually wants to help us, and thank you, Issun, calling us no bath. Ami, that's really lovely of you. But now we are going to get the full explanation of what's happened. So, Nechku were trapped in the temple. But then they somehow broke free, and everything went to hell, basically. And that is why Ezofuji, which is the mountain, is frozen. And oh my good god, I've only just realised what Ezofuji is referring to. Oh, that is embarrassing. Now, it's not quite what it's referring to, but it is part of the name. Well, no. Okay. We will deal with that when we deal with it. But Ezofuji is going to be quite important. But yes, Oki just took the sword and left the village because he's an ass. And will not ask permission from anybody, which is... You really should ask permission when you're taking things from people, you know? And this is the other bit of the story that we needed to know. Lika is missing, and kind of important is that Lika is pretty much the only person who can save the village. 'Cause, yay. That's the only way these things ever go, really, isn't it? So, now that old man Kemu has called us, let's go and see him. Hopefully Samikal will let us through this time rather than being an absolute sod. Yeah! How'd you like us now, Samikal? Old man Kemu actually wants to speak to us. So, you trying to get rid of us was not right. Yeah. And wow. Loving the potbelly there. Now, fair warning, Kemu will hit you if you aren't careful. So, do just try and avoid that if you can and hit him before anything goes wrong. It's not a disaster if you do get hit, and it's kind of funny, but really, you just want to get this over with as quickly as possible, because he's going to be giving us a lot of plot. I mean, pretty much the entirety of this part, but like the first 8 minutes or so, is plot. Because we had all of the information from Kai, and now we're going to get all the information from Kemu. Because we need to hear everything twice just to make sure that we get it, you know? Because clearly we wouldn't have understood that evil demons have taken over the place and caused it to be an eternal winter. And the only person who can save it is missing. So, Now this is reminding me remarkably of a particularly famous Disney film that has not died yet. Which is insane considering it's been 2 years since it came out. But you know what they say after all, the cold never bothered me anyway. Now come on, Kemu, surely you know. The true power of the ice magic is love. That's how you will save this world. Love. And it's funny I actually mentioned that, because it kind of is the way that we're going to save the world, but So, apparently Lika is in Yoshpet, which is a kind of dangerous place, and have to Issun doesn't seem too happy about having to go to Yoshpet. Tough luck, Issun, you're gonna have to deal with it. But before we actually head off to Yoshpet, we are going to do a few little things around Wep'keer, because there are a few side quests that we can do. And, Kevin, we aren't exactly Shiranui. This is Army, Amatersau, Sun Goddess, and all that, you know? Not Shiranui. And thank God, otherwise I was going to be incredibly frustrated at you for telling nobody to stay clear. Now, I think I did skip a few little bits of dialogue there, nothing too hugely important. But I think at this point I was rather frustrated because I had another one of those hideous recording errors again. Which meant that I had to record this particular bit like 3-4 times, and I was just like, ugh, I can't deal with this! Having to read the same bits of dialogue again and again and again just gets tiresome. It's frustrating, because, I mean, obviously I love Ōkami, I've said that more than enough. But it's really frustrating when you have to replay something multiple times just because the thing decided to break and then doesn't work properly. But either way, we have little Otter-mask here. He wants a massive, massive, massive snowball. Basically, I mean, do you want to build a snowman? But we need to make this snowball really huge by rolling it over these clods of snow. Don't get it close to the fire, otherwise, you know, it will melt. And that will be bad. Once it's big enough, if you talk to Otter-mask, you can get a stray bead. So, it's worth your while, and there's a few other things in this area to do, but we are just going to be rolling a snowball about for the time being. So I suppose now is a decent time to bring up all of the design stuff, or at least some of the design stuff, to do with the folks that we have met. So, Old Man Camus, this guy looks like he should be pretty chilly too. At one time he was supposed to be Oki's partner, and he was initially designed as a rotund and stern sort of guy, but obviously that changed. I suppose that means I should probably refer to Ōkami. So with Ōkami, final draft, the idea that the Ōina tribe members could transform into wolves came up mid-development, and I remember redoing this draft accordingly. This was also around the time that he got his fiery red hair. The Ōina tribe was influenced heavily by the Ainu peoples and the Native Americans. The masks they wear represent the divine spirit that they worship, and is their way of staying close to said spirit. The masks were definitely not just a cover-up for us to avoid the hassle of designing more faces. No, they carry a very, very deep meaning. Then there is an early Ōkami. So at this point, he did not have the ability to transform into a wolf, and I was drawing him to look a little younger. The fact that he is wearing short sleeves despite being from a very cold region is an idea left over from this early stage in development. In the end, I feel it suits his hot-blooded personality perfectly. Still, looks a bit chilly, and that's what the thing about Camus was referring to. Then we have Samical. So Samical was designed as a rival character to Ōkami, so they are complete opposites. The details for the Ōina tribe were pretty much settled at this point, so he got immediate approval. So that's why he's got the peregrine falcon mask. And I believe Old Man Camus has a raccoon mask, because all of them have different masks, as you can tell. Ōkami has the sort of, I suppose it's a wolf mask. Not quite, oh, it's a bear mask. Bear, wolf, sort of same thing. And we're getting there with this snowball, so I will move on to Kai and Lika. Obviously we haven't met Lika yet, but we can talk about Kai. So Kai has not changed since her initial conception. I'd wanted her to be brimming with lively energy, so we tied her hair back and had her running around in bare feet. Staff members say that Kai's face mask is a little scary looking. And then we will leave Lika for the time being. But it is important to note that they did design actual faces for Kai and Lika, but they'll leave them up to your imagination because they never reveal them. And I think there is a little bit... Yes, we have some stuff about the residences in Wep'keer. Finally got that snowball done. So the design for the Arctic country of Kamui was influenced heavily by the culture of the Ainu peoples. Kamui is not a region of Nippon where the game begins. Rather, it is an independent country where the Ōina tribe lives quietly. The name Kamui means God in the Ainu language and was applied to this country when the people of Nippon saw the light of God in the Ōina tribe's ability to turn into wolves. In the early stages of development, there was to be a common theme of sun worship throughout the entire game, and traces of that worship can be seen in the design of Kamui. On a side note, all of the names of the characters that appear in Kamui were taken from the Ainu language, and their meanings were carefully thought out. So that's going to be a little bit of research I think I'm going to have to do, isn't it? Try and find... Well, we've got Okikurumi with Ōkami, we know where that's come from. We know where Wali's name comes from. I will just have to do a little bit of hunting around for Old Man Camus and the like. and their roots in Ainu mythology. Shouldn't be too difficult, although it might be a lot more difficult than I'm expecting, because obviously the Ainu people aren't really the most well known in the world. And it seems that, yes, I'm probably going to have quite a difficulty with locating some of these things, if being able to find them at all. But it's nice to know that they all have relations to the Ainu people. It just would be nice if I had a particular source that I could use to say, this is where this character is a reference to. But that doesn't seem like it's quite going to happen, which is a shame. But with that, I believe all of our time dealing with things in Wep'keer is done for now, and we will be able to leave to head to our next area. But we need to do a little bit of purchasing, and at this minute in time, we can actually get the resurrection beads. And funnily enough, the resurrection beads are the most powerful and best weapon in the game. Normally you wouldn't have enough yen to get it at this point, but we do, because obviously I am playing beautifully. So now all of the other weapons are kind of pointless, which is a bit annoying, but oh well. I'm happy we've got the resurrection beads.